Hello and welcome back to Open Everyone. Our next guest is, she's ready to make us laugh into the weekend. She is a top female and bilingual comedian who recently toured opening for the iconic salsa band El Gran Combo de Puerto Rico in 2022 for the 60th anniversary world tour. She's a headliner and has been performing at premier comedy clubs and venues across the country since the 90s. And her latest project, a one woman show titled Freak of Nature, premiered in 2022 and is set to make more waves around the country in 2023. Joining us to share more, we welcome comedian, writer, and actress, and one of my dear friends, the incomparable Sara Contreras.
Ay, Jesús. Oh my God, me tienes sudando. That was quite an intro. My goodness. I love it. I need to do it again. No, I'm kidding. Hola, amor. I love doing your show. I'm so glad to be back on your show. I love it here. Open is the best.
Thank you, honey. I'm so glad that we were able to finally grab a hold of you. Ay, Dios mío, you've
It,
been quite the jet setter.
it's been hectic in a very, very good way. 2022 just went like, go ahead, figure it out. It was one of those years where it was just like, oh wow, malabarista. Became a malabarista big time. Fulfilling a dream. You know what? After the very first time on stage with a Gran Combo, when I finished that show, I said, if I never do comedy again, I'm good.
Oh my gosh, I gotta tell you, it was really exciting following your TikTok posts and seeing you in so many different venues and seeing you like opening up like on a big stadium like size audience. I was like, oh my gosh, you better get it, Sarah. You better
It
get
came,
it.
it came like in baby steps because like the first big one was maybe like 3,500 seats, and okay, that was challenging. But then the Mohegan Sun happened, and it was 9,000 people, like 9,000 Latinos, a sprinkling of everybody else. And I was just like, my heart went, oh my God, like, this is it. This is the test. And you know what happens, Rena? You've been doing this a long time. Your nerves get you,
Right, right,
but we're
right.
pros. You hit that stage and it's like, I can't mess this up.
That's what's up. That's
I
what's up.
can't,
Oh my gosh.
you know, and I went out there and I did my thing. And then, the band, and I was hosting that show. So there was all this noise and they were setting up the stage. And I got off the stage and the host said to me, that was masterful.
Walk us through what your experiences were
Sure.
in the different venues.
Well,
In
what
a
happened
succinct
was
manner. In a succinct manner, because we don't have all day.
no. The first couple of shows, I did a total of 10 shows. So the first shows I was opening. So they wanted me to do like 20 to 25 tops. And I respect the mic. So I immediately got off when I kept checking my watch, got
Right.
off. And the last weekend, they asked me if I would be okay with hosting. And I said, I love hosting. But then they were like, well, then that you got to do 5 minutes, and 5 minutes in between. And stand up is fickle. To do something in 5 minutes to bring 9,000 people back tranquilizado, because they were up there, and I got to sit their butts down and get them focused for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So that was the challenge. And girlfriend, let me tell you, when I did the show in Newark at the Performing Arts Center, right as I'm getting up, I planned 25 minutes. The promoter goes, "Oh, we're running late. You got to do a quick 15." Oh, I have to cut my time. Give us your best material. Pa, 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 pa. Lo dejé sudando.
Nice. I love it. I love it. And you always excite me. I love watching you. I love watching you in action. I mean, you've been doing this for so many years, but please do share what are the cities that you toured. Like, tell us all the places you visited. You said, oh, I only
Well,
did it 10 times. Como,
we stayed,
como si nada.
we stayed local, more local than anything. That was the one thing. I was like,
Okay.
wait, there's 38 shows in this tour. So they went to Osaka, they went to Venezuela, they went to Spain, and I was like, oh my goodness. But these tours are expensive, so it's like it depends on the venue. If the venue's is prepared to pay for a host or a comedian, then that's how you get booked.
Right.
So it was probably the most exciting part of this career, other than going to Iraq to perform for the troops. This was the highlight of my career
Oh
because
my
it
gosh.
was to see that many people showing love, expressing gratitude for them putting a woman on stage.
How was that for you doing comedy in Spanish, right? Was it primarily in Spanish or are you doing Spanglish?
That was the challenge too, because I do all kinds of rooms. So if I have to do clean and I have to do all white,
No,
I can do that.
I'm laughing because he's
I,
like, oh, I had to do clean.
I get to be me. And then they were like, could you bring it up a notch? Maybe we could do a little more freca. I'm like, what? So I let loose, and that was the fun part of it. It was like being in the sala, relajando con la familia, throwing out the stories and the nuances and the vocabulario y las expresiones y los refranes and a couple of little words that,
That you're
but
not gonna
they
say now.
appreciate it. Yeah, they appreciate that. We're not going to say now.
Right, right,
But
right.
I felt like it was balanced and I felt like it was familiar.
Right.
And the best part was having people who were from Central America. Colombia was and South America, they represented, and it was like one beautiful mass of Latinos.
Oh my
There
gosh.
was it was just magnificent. Honestly, I'd never been more proud. And I got real emotional the very first night I performed because it
I
was
would
just
imagine so. I
seriously a dream come true.
I would imagine so. And I'm so proud of you, as a friend,
Yeah.
for somebody, we've known each other for so many years. And it's my absolute honor and privilege to always bring you when I can grab you, right? Porque está bien desinquieta.
I know. 23 is off to kind of, this opened up a lot of doors for me. COVID happened right before COVID. I was in the midst of, getting my show on stage, and then COVID happened. So I
Got it.
wasn't able to produce for 2 years.
Right.
And then 2022 with the tour, I've been, just kind of putting finishing touches. It's a different show after the pandemic.
Right.
So,
And we're talking about Freak of Nature, just to be clear. I just want clarity, right? We're talking about Freak of Nature now.
yes, I'm segueing
Right, right. No,
smoothly.
I just want to make sure because I remember you were working on it and it got put on hold, and then you got the tour. I see it behind you. I see it. I see it. And now you have a revised version based on everything you experienced in 2022. And so, give us the scoop. So, when do you officially
Well,
kick it off?
Well, right now we have a couple of dates just to we're still sort of workshopping it because it's not in its flushed out form. Because it's special in the sense that I want to introduce music. I have original music being written for me by Aurora Flores, and
Nice,
to have a theme song and a couple of salsa riffs that we're going to perform. I'm going
nice.
to dance. I might even sing a little bit. So it's a little bit of everything, but really it's a celebration of Generation Jones. And a lot of people don't know that Generation Jones is the younger portion of the baby boomers, the last of the baby boomers who I represent. And I want to just talk about how we're not aging the way our mamas did. And it's
Okay.
a beautiful thing. You see these women 70 years old on TikTok dancing their little firm and fit butts off. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to celebrate this.
But you know what? You live in your own world anyways.
Know what it is, Rhina? What it is? I am a voracious reader. Like I Google was the best thing that ever happened in my life because I would spend days at the library and researching, and it's so much easier now. That's why it frustrates me when I see people that don't explore and don't take advantage of what's presented. I mean, this it is so easy to gain knowledge nowadays and disinformation. So that's why you have to kind of always read to figure out, what you want to believe.
Right. And so because you have I want to say you have revitalized your career in another form. Actually, it's been an expansion. I mean, you've been successful even prior to this tour, but to have the recognition that you deserve, because you
Thank
deserve that. It isn't even a thing of like, oh, I got my break, because you got your break a long time ago. I didn't even mention that you were in Latin Divas of Comedy on Showtime, and you've appeared on I don't know how many shows, um, and
And
so
that's nominated for an Alma Award.
there you go. On top
That
of
show
that.
was nominated, all female, the only all female Latino comedy special, and nominated for an Alma Award. So I'm real proud of that. And you're right, but I like the word revitalized because that is what it was, and I agree with you that that's what it was because things did happen, but things happen. And I told you the biggest thing that really, really kind of messed with me for a minute, and it was a real thing, was my mother passing.
Right.
Um,
I
that
remember
grief
that.
was overwhelming, and it really pulled the rug out from under me, where I was having trouble, not necessarily finding joy, but just I didn't want to be in the public because every time I went out, I had to discuss again why my mother was gone, and I didn't want to keep having that conversation because it hurt every time.
Right.
I pulled away a little bit, and then then I started to put the show on its feet. I had a couple of great producers that were interested in the show. COVID happened, and then out of nowhere, I get this email: "Hi, would you be interested?" Like they solicited me for that show, so
That's
that was
awesome.
remarkable. It was absolutely remarkable. The promoter said, "I looked at a couple of comedians. Yes, they were funny, but you were hilarious in a way that we knew Puerto Rico, you were the only one." That's what they said to me. You were the only one who could do this.
And you know what? They were right. You are the only one that could have pulled that off. And I'm so happy that you were able to, and that, health also accompanied you because también, we're still at the last end of this pandemic, and God bless you.
You know, man, knock on wood, I
Yeah.
did haven't it. And you know how the crowds are. Ay, pero dame un abrazo, saca un foto. And I was kind of like trying to do this a little bit, but you can't, right? So we've been very, very lucky. I got to tell you, we've been
Well,
lucky.
and keep it that way. So before we go, I know you're doing something for what is her name? I know you're doing a
Jenny
piece.
Saldaña.
What is it?
Jenny
Jenny
Saldaña.
Saldaña. Yes, yes, yes. I want to
Yes.
make sure we
I
mention her.
am supporting her one woman show, digital dating diary. And Jenny is hilarious. I'm going to help her put that show on its feet. She was like, I love Jenny. And she's like, listen, I know you are superbly busy. I know this is just like a tiny little show for you. And I was like, you don't need to ask me twice. I always pay it forward. I always want to support new talent. And Jenny is not new, but I know her show is new, and I know she's excited about putting this together. And I'm going to be opening as well for Grupo Nietzsche. And oh God, I forgot his name. I'm so sorry about that. But I'm going to be, and Hector El Torito.
Oh,
And we're going to be doing that in Trenton in May. And so I have a couple of really, really great shows coming up as far as the bigger bands. And I want to continue to keep hosting and opening for other bands. So that's, hint, 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 hint. I'm
and
ready. And I don't know if you saw, honey, did you see me strutting across the stage like the Tina Turner of comedy?
you can though, but you can, better. You can. Once again, Sara Contreras,
Always.
comedian, writer, and actress, and you can catch her actually at one of these upcoming shows. It's called Desperate Digital Dating Diary, and that's happening January 15th at the Triad Theater, located at 158 West by 72nd Street. And of course, if you're interested on Sarah's schedule and her new tour on Freak of Nature, you can visit saracontreras.com. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll be speaking with Creative Duo hosting multiple photographic events in New York City. We'll be right back with more Open. Don't go anywhere.